Bring on Boston. That's what the 76ers are saying. They're not afraid of the Boston Celtics. We'll talk about that more and more next on Locked On 76ers.
You are Locked On 76ers, your daily Philadelphia 76ers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Thanks for making Locked On 76ers your first listen every day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 money line bet. That's a FanDuel.com/locked on to get started. Do it today, people. Definitely do it today. I'm your co-host, Keith Pompey, along with my man, John Mitchell, the extraordinaire. We'd like to welcome y'all to Locked On 76ers. Today is a big day for the Sixers, Mitch. They got the Boston Celtics coming to town. It's early season, but both of them are in first place in the Eastern Conference standings with a 5-1 record. And bruh, you know just like I do, this is a serious barometer game for the Sixers to just see how legitimate they are.
Absolutely. You've gotten some of the, you've gotten the Washingtons out of the way. You've gotten some of the mediocre teams out of the way. And now you've got the team that many people are picking, and a lot of the bookies are saying, this is your team. This is your team to unseat Denver, who I still think is the best team in the league, but that's a different episode. But I think that, this is without a doubt a chance for the Sixers. You win this game and it's early, but you had the best record in the Eastern Conference. You're beating a team that the last time you faced, put a horrific beat down on you. I think it was 112-88, something like that in Game 7. In a game, frankly, that wasn't as close as the score indicated, as much of a blowout as that was. So I think it's a very important game for them. I'm not going to say it's a barometer game, like you said, Keith. It's a measuring stick on where you stand against a team that everybody, a team that reached the conference finals and people suspect will be better, than they were. Than they were last year.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. Like, the deal is we look at it, and there are going to be certain people who are going to say, man, they lost. Like, if they lose, and again, I'm not making excuses for them or anything like that, but because I do think that this is a true test for them. But what it is like you said, barometer, but to see certain things that they need to do and work on. I also think that when you incorporate, Marcus Morris only played one game. Nick Batum only played one game. Right. Robert Covington played 3, but he really only was really in there in good situational things for one game. Yeah. So right now we look at it, and yes, Tyrese Maxey and Joel Embiid and Tobias Harris and Kelly Oubre Jr., have been, balling. But when we look at it, this is something that is a great test for Nick Nurse to try to get these guys incorporated, all of them. And you have to believe that as long as these dudes stay here, talking about Nick Batum, Marcus Morris, all these guys, they will be more incorporated in what the Sixers are trying to do as the season goes along. Mm-hmm. So that would be like, okay, it's kind of like you take a standardized test in school. Like my daughter's in the 8th grade. She'll take a standardized test early on, and then later on in the school year, she could take the same test again just to see where her growth was. You know what I mean? And areas she grew at. And I think a lot of that has to do with it. But I like the fact that the Sixers aren't shying away from the significance of this game, right? So, yesterday, Tobias Harris was asked about the Celtics and playing them. And this is what he said, Mitch, if you mind me sharing it to you a little bit.
I'm all
Combined,
ears, bro.
is that good?
I'm all ears.
All right. He said they've been playing great basketball. So we are going to embrace this challenge and opportunity for us. We truly believe we have a great group here, a really good team. Obviously, we want to go up against the best and see where we stand and just push ourselves to see where we are at as a group and see what areas we can get better at. So there it is, Mitch. They're telling you something. And then I got to add one other thing to you, if it's okay. Nick Nurse, I mean, I asked him, I said, Nick, you new coach, a lot, you won a championship, like what the goals are is not winning early season matchups, right? Is to win a championship.
Right.
Do you think that this game is too amped up? My man was like, nah, it's okay. I think that obviously the standings say the two teams have played well. I know it's 6 games for each. I just look as this. It's two teams with a lot of talent, two teams that are playing pretty good. We need the challenge. I keep saying that. Like, I'm looking forward to the challenge to see what levels we go up in effort, intensity, concentration, execution, all those kinds of things.
Mm-hmm.
It's okay.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody should be amped up. Everybody should watch this game. So the Sixers are embracing this, bro. So, and they want to see. So I kind of like it. And this is a little different from what Doc Rivers used to do in the past, where he used to down for everything. Nick Nurse is like, nah, this is going to be a good game. Let's see what we got.
Yeah, you have to embrace it. Again, Boston is perceived as the best team in the Eastern Conference. With the additions of Porzingis, with the addition of Drew Holiday. It's blasphemous to say this, but I really enjoy watching that Boston team play the last 2 years. I have to admit, and I despise the Celtics, but I do think that it'll be interesting to see how they are without Marcus Smart. I'm curious where their toughness is, because there have been some times when Tatum has been a little softish, and which is not to criticize him as a player, because he's a great player, but also losing Grant Williams. So it's just I think this team's probably taken a step back in the toughness department. But the fact that the Sixers are saying, hey, it's here, we're on this winning streak. We're in the middle of a home stretch where we've been very productive offensively and defensively. And I think, and let's not forget, Boston's coming off that loss. Their first loss in overtime to the Timberwolves is, teams, the NBA, when you lose, the good teams always come back stronger the next game out. So I expect that. I think it's a treat. I think, people will enjoy watching this game. It's not a referendum on the season, but it is a referendum on the moment, particularly with the Sixers.
Yeah. But I mean, particularly for the Sixers, and we'll see, man. We'll see, because I think that these new additions are going to be good for them. But again, you got to go through the battles, man. And like you said early on, bro, they're done playing the Washington Wizards.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at it, they played the only team that they played with a winning record thus far. And again, you play who's on your schedule. Mm-hmm. But the only team they played with a winning record thus far, was the Milwaukee Bucks. And the Bucks are the game behind them at 4-2.
Right.
The Phoenix Suns, they're a team that got to get it together. Like, they had injuries.
And they will.
Yep, they will. But so you can't really go by that. But the rest of the teams, like Toronto, is a reason why Nick Nurse is no longer the coach, right? You know what I mean? They gotta get it right. The Washington Wizards, hey, they is a reason why they traded Kristaps Porzingis and got rid of other players, right? Bradley Beal.
Yeah.
So these are like rebuilding teams right now. So it is what it is. But look, I got to talk to y'all about PrizePicks, right? You know what? And what is PrizePicks? PrizePick is the largest daily fantasy sports platform in North America. We are the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. It's just you against the numbers. Instead of battling thousands of other players, including pros and sharks, you pick more or less than 2 to 6 players, stats, projections, and watch winnings roll on, right? Now, with the basketball season here, you can now pick combo predictions across football and basketball from the Specials League, a league created specifically for combo projections that include 2 or more players from different sports and leagues. For example, LeBron James plus Jason Kelsey on a 10.5 combo of 3 pointers made plus rejections. Want to play alongside some of PrizePicks' favorites like rapper Meek Mill and comedian Andrew Schultz? You can now find community plays under the promos tab of the app to view entries for some of the biggest names in PrizePicks community each week, right? So there's a lot of stuff that people have, right? So look, how do I do this? It's easy, y'all. Go to prizepicks.com/lockedonnba and use the code LockedOnNBA for a first deposit match up to $100. Again, listen, go to prizepicks.com/lockedonnba and use the code LockedOnNBA for a first deposit match up to $100. I'm telling y'all, do it today, people. Definitely do it today. Now, Mitch, when we talk about this series, right? I gotta talk about something. I'm gonna go a little different here.
Mhm.
So you said in the first segment that you kind of despise the Boston Celtics, right?
I grew up hating them.
Same here. Now, but let me ask you this. So you've been covering the NBA longer than I have, right? And it was weird. Like when I first got on the beat, the player didn't like me. I don't think he ever liked me, but his family did. And I'm talking about Michael Carter Williams, right?
Oh wow.
So yeah, it was crazy. Like Mike didn't like me, but it's all. I mean,
We talked about that. We talked about.
Yeah, like his pop is his pop is his biological pop is really a great dude, hella cool, right? So the thing is, I realized I grew up in Philly and I hated everything about the Boston Celtics.
Yeah.
Like I just knew, like growing up, people say you don't want to go there. That's a racist city. That's this, that's that. You can't like it. When you go there, it's like you might as well be in Mississippi, Alabama, wherever. You know what I mean? Anywhere in the woods, right?
I personally, I did enjoy Boston. I enjoyed those trips to Boston. But go ahead.
So the deal was, when I got there and I started meeting people, and I'm like, yo, they cool up here. Like, you know what I mean? Now, granted, everywhere you go is kind of like, you know what I mean? You can't escape racism, right? Let's just keep it real.
Right.
But the people that I met, the dudes I met, they were mad cool. So I'm like, hold up. I was always told to hate these people.
And their media people were cool too. Steve Bullpitt and those guys and Sherrod.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. People. They were like great dudes. They're all great dudes. And like me and Bullpitt is funny. That's my guy.
Yeah.
Like we got the same birthday. Every time I see him, this and that, like real cool. Like, you know what I mean? So
Gary.
Huh? Yeah. But Guy Wash is really from Cal.
West Coast.
Huh? Yeah,
he's West Coast guy.
That's straight West Coast brother. Right? Yeah. That's Inglewood right there.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is, like, some of my, but we were brought up because of the rivalry to hate everything about the city.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, everything. So I mean, but like your thoughts on it, like, but you still don't like the team, right?
No, it's hard for me. We grew up with that, the We Owe You One, the famous We Owe You One commercial, and Doc and those guys lost that 3-1 lead. We remember Doc and Larry Bird. We remember Larry Bird, the hit from French Lick coming out and just, man, where did this wet jump shot come from on this 6'9" guy, the 6'9" redhead white guy who must have eyes behind his head. And you just, Danny Ainge, Robert Parrish, ML Carr, who didn't despise ML Carr waving that towel. I know I'm dating myself with this conversation, but it's Boston Celtics, man, and that was a rivalry in this city well in advance of the Dallas Cowboys and the Philadelphia Eagles. And I kind of hope that the Sixers. That's when they lost that game last year. I was like, hold on. Not only did you not show up for Game 7, but you didn't show up against the Celtics. You just can't do that here, and that's why I'm hoping. I'm really hoping. excuse me, that the last time we saw Joel, he was 5 for 18 from the floor, with just 15 points in that Game 7, and he averaged 20 points per game, which is like 13 below his season high MVP leading scoring numbers. So it's that kind of stuff sticks in your craw. I mean, I know you have to be, because you're in there and you got to give the unbiased the unbiased report. But if you grew up in Philadelphia, if you were a 76ers fan, it's impossible to separate the rivalry. I do respect it, because I never will forget. And again, I'm dating myself. When the Celtics fans stood up and said "Beat LA," they chanted "Beat LA," and that was kind of that East Coast thing where it was like, okay, these are two gritty cities, two knuckle up cities that understand the game, and they were like, hey man, we hate the Lakers, so go out and beat them. Of course we didn't, but that's a whole different story.
Yeah, but here's something I will say this about this rivalry, right? So West Philly's finest, Friend Central, Duke, played in the NBA, the whole nine. Emil Jefferson is a coach there now. Not the first guy from Philly to go on and be a coach there, like Pooh Richardson, right? Not Pooh Richardson, Pooh Allen.
Yep.
Pooh Allen was a coach there, right? And then you look at Marcus Morris now. Marcus Morris plays with the Sixers. He was when they used to play when the process finally ended. And everybody thought the Sixers had that squad. Marcus Morris was the one that you can say that caused the Sixers to lose in the second round that first year, because he locked Ben Simmons down. I mean, locked them down.
Was that in the bubble?
Huh?
Was that in the bubble?
Nah, this was. I don't know if he was still on that team in the bubble. I believe he was, but I'm talking about. Well, Ben Simmons didn't even play in the bubble because he left. Like, he was in the bubble, but he left before the playoff. This was that year when they beat Miami the first year. It was the first time they went to the playoffs. This is when they had Ersan Ilyasova and all that. I want to say it was 2018. Okay. 2018. But so what happens is that's when Ben Simmons had like a 1.1 game or whatever. Yeah. And they put Marcus on him, and Marcus was straight locking them down. So it was weird because like, these are guys that I like. Like, I covered Marcus in high school. I was the beat writer when Pooh was the coach at Penn. Okay. So you go and you see Boston, and it was like, these are dudes, like, you know what I mean, Philly, like, in the building. And it was always like they kept that Philly edge, but they just did it for Boston. Like, it was crazy. So now we look at it. Now you look at Sam Cassell. A lot of guys felt like, a lot of people, the fans, wanted Sam Cassell to stay on this staff
and get elevated. A lot of people wanted him elevated to the head coaching position.
Wanted him elevated to the head coach. And now you look at it, and he's with the Celtics. So he's kind of sort of like a lot of Philly favor on that team, or stuff that people wanted to be part of Philly, remain part of Philly, is still on that team. So there's like a lot of love, with that team. But again, is the team that we all love to hate.
Yeah.
The people in Philly. So that's what it is. But when we get back from this live read, I want to ask you, what do you think the keys are for the Sixers? What you like to see from the Sixers in order for them to get this victory? Is that cool?
That's fine.
That's fine. Score early this NFL season with FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 money line bet. That's $150 if your team wins. If you've been thinking about joining FanDuel, there's no better time to get in on the action. The app is easy to use. There's a wide range of betting options, including spreads, player props, and more. So visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to kick off the NFL season. FanDuel, official partner of the NFL. So, Mitch, what do you think the keys of the game are for the Sixers, or what would you like to see the Sixers do against the Celtics or show?
I would like to see Joel Embiid drop a bomb on Boston. I would like to see him respond with that 29-point third quarter with that same kind of energy, playing at the rim. I mean, I want to see a really big game from Joel. I want to see. I noticed that Boston is kind of they can play a little bit passive on the glass sometimes. I like to see the Sixers be aggressive. I want to see Tyrese continue to play well, and what I really want to do is I'd like to see Oubre introduce himself to this matchup as a 76er. I'd like to see him really find his rhythm, and I know he was 1 for 5 in the last game, but I'd like to see him have an explosive offensive outing. And I want to see the Sixers play some defense. And I think they can score on this Boston team from the offensive standpoint. I know Boston is. I think the T-Wolves shot like 52% against them in that win, and so they're not. They can be. They're gel. They've got new pieces. We know they'll be better. We know Drew will get really good on the perimeter defensively, but. Yeah, I want to see this is like, again, just listen to ourselves talk. This really is more of an early statement game for the or a measuring stick for the 76ers, because you win this game and you had the best record in the Eastern Conference. So I mean, I'll be looking for a lot of things, but I do want to also see how much time we got, Keith. I want to see the new guys start getting in. And then, Nick Batum looked really good the other day. I want to see if he can maintain that. I want to see if Marcus Morris can, where he fits, Cove. And I do think that's where the 76ers hold the distinct advantage over them. I think that they have a better, and I think they have. I'm not impressed by Boston. It's going to be what it's going to be, but they're going to ride 6-7 players, and they don't. After that, they don't have much.
Yeah, here's the thing to me, like when you think about before, okay, so early in Joel Embiid's career, Boston's secret was easy. They were Joel's kryptonite. Why? They let Joel do whatever he wanted to do, but they would run up and down the floor. Mm-hmm. And they knew he would get gassed and he couldn't do it. I mean, Joel was having phenomenal games against him scoring wise. But then when it got down to the clutch, it's like, oh, he's tired. He can't do anything. He didn't get teammates involved. He didn't do anything. It was like Joel Embiid against the Celtics. They knew that. They loved it because they knew they couldn't win that way. Nick Nurse has changed up, right? But later on, what they did is they had certain guys. Now, also back in the day, Al Horford and whoever else they had, they could defend Joel.
Yeah.
Right? Al Horford is getting older now, right? But then they also had Marcus Smart, who was a agitator who would get underneath Joel's skin.
Yeah, they would guard him. They would guard him.
Huh?
Remember, they would guard him sometimes with Marcus Smart.
Exactly, he was. And then so was Robert Williams, right? Mm-hmm. So they would do the double. Like Marcus Morris would guard him, and then Robert Williams would come over and defend them.
Mm-hmm.
Well, both of those guys are gone now.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
So now you got Porzingis, and now you have now Joel can eat Kristaps Porzingis up like alive.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, he's 7'3", but the boy might be $190, right?
Yeah.
So
take him to the rib rack.
Yeah, bloom, right? That's what he should do too.
Mm-hmm.
Right. The question thing is, now we look at Boston, we keep hyping up Drew, Kristaps, and the Jaylen Brown and Jason Tate. Great, all four great players.
Mm-hmm.
But the last two games they played without Derek White, who's probable, and I expect him to play.
I hope he does.
Yeah, Derek White, his wife, and shout out to him and his wife. Congratulations on their second child. They welcomed the second child this weekend, and that's why he missed the last two games. But it just seemed like there was a chink in that armor. Like you said, they're not a real deep team. Without Derek White, they struggled a little bit against Brooklyn, and then they lost to Minnesota.
Mm-hmm.
So you look at that and you say, wow, he might be, even though he's the less heralded guy, but he's also averaging a career high of 15.3 points.
Yeah,
and he's doing a lot of other things. So he is the key. Now, if he plays, he does he does the unheralded stuff, but he's the key. So you gotta right now, and then the funny part is without him, the last game, Drew struggled, and so did Porzingis. So you know what I mean. So he's the key to them. So I like to see what they do against him to make him less impactful. Right. And then I want to see how Embiid plays because they don't have anybody to stop Embiid. Now, last time they played in the regular season, Embiid had 52 points for them to win by 2. Right. So we'll see. But this team is different. Both teams are different.
Both teams are different.
Yeah, both teams are different. So
I think both teams in the long run are better.
Yeah.
I'm done with the Harden stuff, man. They're better without him.
Yeah, it could be. I mean, it could be. We'll find out today. I do think that I do like here's the thing. As long as Maxey continues to ascend, as long as Tobias can give you stuff, as long as Kelly Oubre is consistent, then they're going to have games where all three of them struggle, right? Of course, that's the NBA. Right. That's the NBA. But as long as you can get that from these guys in the postseason, especially, they are, because now you got depth and you got options. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes, bro. We'll see.
That's what we're playing for. This is one of 82. It's an important one, but this is a roster that's established for the postseason. I was looking real quickly. I see that it's just 6 teams in the Eastern Conference that are over 500 right now.
Yeah, that's the crazy part.
Yeah,
that's the crazy part. But look, we want to thank y'all for listening. Come back tomorrow. We're going to dissect this game. I'm pretty sure we're going to have a lot to talk about. But y'all just have to know that you can get this podcast wherever you get your podcast at. And it's free and available wherever you get your podcast at. Make sure you go to our YouTube channel, Locked On 76ers YouTube. When you go there, click on that Liberty Bell. What that does is makes you a new subscriber, and you also get notifications on when the next podcast drops. Also, even if you hate us, leave a comment.
And if you're from Boston, we hope you do hate us.
Yeah, we hope you do hate us. But keep knowing now, the thing about this podcast, I'm just going to tell you all this. There's a lot of podcasts out there, but you're going to get the real from us. We're going to tell y'all how we truly feel. We're going to tell y'all everything. So we're going to keep it 100. There's no cheerleading going on. There's no take shots taken. We're just going to keep it 100 5 days a week and let you know what's going on with your team that you love to follow. This is Keith Pompey, my partner in crime, John Mitchell. Right? We want y'all to have a blessed day. Thanks for joining us, and peace.
Have a great one, people.